Mine looks different.
It's like a comedy sketch now. You know stuff's getting smaller, don't it?
So can you all say your names?
Yeah. I'm Michael Basson.
You're taking our picture.
Writer and director of Silent Hill. This is...
I'm Adelaide Clemens. That's like Heather Nice.
So this movie reunites Sean Bean and Kit Harington from Game of Thrones.
Yes, it does.
What was that like, having them back together again?
Well, I didn't know at the time, you know. I mean, Kit came in to audition for me, and Game of Thrones hadn't been shown. Nobody knew who he was. He came in as a talented young actor for the role, you know, and he was fantastic in the room. He was one of the first guys I met. I knew it was going to be him. He showed the audition to Samuel. This is the kid, and Game of Thrones came out, and suddenly we've got Jon Snow.
Right.
You know? And I said to Kit, oh yeah, you know, and Sean Bean's in the movie. Dude, that's just weird. You know, it's actually quite a small industry compared to everybody else. So yeah, and I said to Sean, "Oh, you're doing season 2 of Game of Thrones?" He went, "No." So now I know why.
How much of the world of Silent Hill do you have to know to understand this movie?
None at all. The whole point of this was that we created a sequel to the first movie, which continues the story of young Sharon De Silva, who, for reasons that are explained in the movie, becomes Heather Mason. So this is a sequel. It's an adaptation of game number... I don't know, you guys know Silent Hill games? Is that proper? Yeah, good. Okay, so game number 3, it's an adaptation of that story, the mythology and the world and that ride that you go on. But the truth of the matter is I had to make it a movie which completely stands alone. If you know nothing about Silent Hill and you're not interested in mythology, you've never played the games, this story works for you because it's basically about a strong young heroine who has to find the truth of herself. So it works, hopefully, fingers crossed, on every level.
And what was the mandate for the beginning of his writing?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I have a question for Adelaide. I'm writing for Australia. Can you tell us a little bit about your career? Have you moved to Hollywood?
I've been all over the place, but since Silent Hill, I've been working mainly. I went to Toronto, then in Louisiana. I'm just kind of following where the job goes. I've lived like a gypsy for the last couple of years, so I don't really know if I have moved to Hollywood or not. But
that's the right one.
Yeah, I did Parade's End in London, which is a BBC HBO miniseries. That was 5 months in the UK last year, and now I'm back in the US in Atlanta. So yeah, at the moment I'm just kind of going.
Any Australian plans coming up?
You did Gatsby over there?
Yeah, I did Gatsby at the end of last year, and it's always home. Yeah.
Thanks.
Can you talk about the sets and what we can expect from this film that's different than the first film?
The difference is that my aesthetic is applied to the Silent Hill world design. And one thing we didn't do a lot of green screen stuff at all. We built the world as much as we possibly could, or we found an environment which we could retrofit or apply that Silent Hill aesthetic to. What we do in this movie, I think, a bit more than perhaps in the first one, and certainly than the games, is we spend a little bit more time in the real world. So we ground the audience in Heather's home life and her environment before we start dismantling that and sending her to, first the fog world and then the other world, and then the peeling begins and the monsters appear, and it's a horror journey, but it's a psychological journey as well.
Yeah, I think that's what really attracted me to Michael's script, was that we set up Heather's world in the real world and the reality that we as audiences can relate to, and then eventually we kind of get sucked into Silent Hill. So I think really you have a lot of empathy for the character and you kind of hop on her ride, and then suddenly you're in Silent Hill. So hopefully it's...
Yeah, I mean, the thing of it is that the first movie, which Samuel also made, is such an artistically and creatively successful film. It's beautiful. Everybody worked at the top of their game, and you can like it as an adaptation of the games or not, but you can't deny the fact that aesthetically and technically it's an incredible film. So we really had a very high benchmark to try and achieve. And one of the things we've done, obviously, we shot this in 3D to try and give you another level of immersion. I mean, 3D is bandied around, people like it, people don't like it, but one thing it can really do is it can draw you into an environment. And as a game adaptation, I think it's quite a successful thing we've done, and the 3D is really, really good. So.
And as we have produced the first one too, for a couple of years, we kept all the iconographic figures, like the board of Silent Hill, the display from the town. So we have unloaded lots of trucks to put some of the elements of Silent Hill that you will recognize, the sign, everything.
Yes, I wanted to ask, since you are just talking about the aesthetics of the film, one of my favorite effects in the first movie was the ashes raining down.
Yes.
Are we going to see that again?
You're going to see it in 3D.
It's awesome.
It really is fantastic. You watch it, and because it's slow, the 3D really works when things are slow. And the drifting of the ash, you watch it on the screen, and you kind of a little bit hypnotized by it.
Awesome. So you filmed it in 3D, it's not post-converted?
It's filmed in 3D, absolutely.
Awesome.
Post-conversion, can't do
Right.
that.
So DP is there and you got to test.
Yes. But the thing about it is, and what 3D, when you shoot in 3D, and I can understand why people don't want to shoot in 3D and they want to do it post-conversion, because shooting in 3D is slower and it's harder, and it's a new language of filmmaking. So one of the challenges for me, I come from doing 2D. Who knew I'd ever do a 3D movie? But when Samuel said we want to do it 3D, and I initially said, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do this. And then we thought about how it could work for the aesthetic of the movie, how it could involve the audience. And the thing about 3D is that you can make it more or less 3D. It's like pulling focus now. So you can say, okay, as this scene changes, we can psychologically just draw the audience a little bit by just changing the parallax of the 3D, the interocular. And not everybody's played with that, and we do that a little bit in this, and I think that was kind of an interesting way to go.
Yeah, I mean 3D, I think personally it goes hand in hand with the video game adaptation because, I mean, as an actor, I felt like I was kind of there with the console playing, having my options of where I'll go, and you get to experience that when you watch the film. So.
To bounce on the 3D thing while we're still on the subject, once you shoot though and make the choice to shoot in 3D, as far as the lastingness of the movie as technology changes and how this is going to stay the test of time, do you have any kind of, I mean, once you do it, right? I mean, there's really no other, and then as far as if you're not watching in 3D, it doesn't quite have that aesthetic appeal. So you're kind of committing.
But this is the thing. It's equivalent to saying it's got to be a sequel adaptation, a standalone movie. You've got to make things work in their own right. If you flatten the movie and look at it in 2D, it's absolutely beautiful. Master the DP did a fantastic job. The movie looks glorious. So the 3D, of course, I'd like you to see it the way I intended it to be done. And it was such a pain in the ass to do it that I want you to know how good it looks and what a pain in the ass it is to do. But it doesn't make a difference to the movie. Now, the interesting thing is that as technology is moving forward, we're moving into the digital age, and how file storage formats and all that kind of nonsense, which we have. Film is film is film. You just need a candle to look at a piece of movie, and that with the digital stuff, all these files that you're creating right now, if it starts being an MPEG or a WAV or something, it's obsolete. And its obsolescence is what we all fear, but you can't think about it when you're making it.
I think a lot of the reasons the film and the game series was so successful was a phenomenal score, and the first film used basically the video game score, if I recall. Can you talk a little bit about the score for this one and what is inspiring it?
Oh, well, I mean, Akira.
All right.
Dude, it's not Silent Hill without Akira. I mean, the thing is, the experience of playing the game, I'm a gamer, right? So I played these games 10 years now. God, how old am I? I played these games when I was starting out. And the sound design, and Akira did sound design and music, so it became that kind of singular audio identity. And that is massively unique. He's a really talented guy. So, and Christoph Gans in the first movie, who was a huge fan of Silent Hill, really obsessively knows his stuff. He took that and ran with it. And there was no way I was doing Silent Hill without Akira being involved, and he has been. We have Jeff Downer who's taken Akira themes, and Akira came in and helped and gave us some new stuff as well. So we have original Akira, we have reworkings of his old themes. It's all there, and it's a really, really good score.
And Campbell new song of him in the movie.
Yeah,
Very exciting.
I have a question for Natalie. What was sort of challenging for you in this role, playing this character and developing her? What were some things that you found compelling or interesting about the game?
You know, to be honest, I think the physical challenge of